blood on his hands, and a choice that would haunt him forever. Marcus Turner gripped the steering wheel of his tow truck, knuckles white, throat tight with a rage so deep it felt like drowning. 3 years. 3 years since Judge Catherine Morrison sent his little brother to prison for a crime Marcus knew, in his bones, Danny didn't commit. And now, on this rain-slicked highway at 2 in the morning, he saw her. Stranded. Alone. Vulnerable. The universe had just handed him something he dreamed about in his darkest moments. But what would he do with it? The call came in at 1:47 a.m. Disabled vehicle, Route 40, mile marker 73, single female, stranded. Marcus almost told dispatch to send someone else. Almost. But money was money, and his daughter Lily's medical bills weren't going to pay themselves. Type 1 diabetes didn't care that her uncle was rotting in a cell, or that her father worked 16-hour days just to keep her insulin pump supplied and her blood sugar monitored. So he swallowed the exhaustion burning behind his eyes, grabbed his keys, and headed out into the storm. The November rain fell in sheets, turning the highway into a river of reflected taillights and danger. Marcus's windshield wipers fought a losing battle against the downpour. Each sweep revealed nothing but darkness and the occasional semi-truck barreling past, spraying his truck with water that sounded like gunfire against the metal. He'd been doing this for 11 years, ever since he opened Turner's Towing and Repair, started with one truck and a dream, built it into something that almost paid the bills. Almost. His phone buzzed. Lily. Even at 14, she knew when he was out on late calls. "Dad, be careful. Storm's getting worse." He could hear the worry in her text, the same worry she'd carried since her mom left 5 years ago, unable to handle the weight of a sick child and a husband who worked himself to the bone. "Always am, sweetheart. Go to sleep." But she wouldn't. She never did until she heard his key in the lock. Danny's face flashed through his mind. 22 years old, sentenced to 15 years for armed robbery. But Danny was at Marcus's house that night, helping Lily with her math homework, eating pizza, laughing at some stupid movie. Marcus had surveillance footage from his own security system, time-stamped, clear as day. But Judge Morrison ruled it inadmissible on a technicality. Something about the defense attorney filing it 3 days late. 3 days. And just like that, Danny's life was over. The court cannot accept evidence submitted past the deadline, regardless of its content, she'd said, her voice cold as winter steel, her eyes revealing nothing. The defendant is hereby sentenced to 15 years in the state penitentiary. Marcus had stood in that courtroom, his hands shaking, wanting to scream, to flip tables, to make her see, but he just stood there, frozen, as they led his baby brother away in chains. Danny had looked back once, tears streaming down his face, and mouthed, "Take care of Lily." Mile marker 73 appeared through the rain. Marcus slowed, his headlights catching the outline of a silver Lexus, hazard lights blinking weakly. Someone stood beside it, arms wrapped around themselves, soaked through. As he pulled up, angling his lights to see better, his heart stopped. Even drenched, even with her hair plastered to her face, he knew her. 3 years of carrying her image in his mind like a brand, and there she was. Judge Catherine Morrison, the woman who destroyed his family, standing on the side of a deserted highway in the middle of the night, as helpless as Danny had been in that courtroom. Marcus sat there, engine idling, hands trembling. Every muscle in his body screamed at him to drive away. Leave her there. Let her feel what it's like to be abandoned, to have no one care, to be at the mercy of a system that doesn't give a damn. His foot hovered over the gas pedal. Just drive. She'll be fine. Someone else will come. Someone who doesn't know what she's done. But he couldn't move. Because beneath the rage, beneath the 3 years of sleepless nights and prison visits and Lily asking why Uncle Danny couldn't come to her birthday, there was something else. Something his mother had drilled into him before cancer took her. You don't become the thing you hate, Marcus. You don't let anger turn you into someone your daughter can't respect." He grabbed his rain jacket and stepped out into the storm. She looked up as he approached, relief flooding her face. "Oh, thank God. I've been out here for almost an hour. My phone's dead and no one's stopping." She was shivering, her business suit offering zero protection against the cold. "I'm heading back from a conference in Pittsburgh. Hit something in the road and now the car won't start." Marcus kept his face neutral, his voice professional. "Let me take a look." He moved to her car, popped the hood, shone his flashlight into the engine. Even in his distracted state, he could see the problem. Punctured radiator, coolant everywhere, engine overheated. She wasn't going anywhere without a tow. "How bad is it?" Her voice cut through the rain. "You need a tow. Radiator's shot." He didn't look at her. Couldn't. If he looked at her, he might say something, might do something, might let 3 years of pain spill out right here on this highway. Okay, that's fine. Can you take me to the nearest town? I'll get a hotel, deal with the car in the morning." She wrapped her arms tighter around herself. "I'll pay extra for the late night call." Marcus walked back to his truck, mind racing. This was it, the moment. He could take her to his shop, call her a cab from there, and be done with it. Professional, clean. Or he could leave her here and let karma have its way. But neither option felt right. Neither option would give him what he really wanted, which was for her to see, really see, what she'd done. "Get in the truck," he said, opening the passenger door. "I'll hook up your car." She climbed in, still shivering, and Marcus went through the mechanical motions of securing her Lexus to his rig. The work was automatic, muscle memory from thousands of tows. But his mind was somewhere else entirely, in a courtroom, in a prison visiting room, in Lily's hospital room when she crashed last year, because he couldn't afford the better insulin pump, the one with the continuous monitor. He got back in the truck, and she was rubbing her hands together, trying to generate warmth. "I can't thank you enough. When you work late and something like this happens..." She trailed off, and he caught something in her voice. Fear, maybe. Vulnerability. Things he never thought he'd associate with Judge Catherine Morrison. They drove in silence for the first few minutes, only the sound of rain and the diesel engine filling the space. Then she spoke again. "I'm Catherine, by the way." His hands tightened on the wheel. "Marcus. Are you from around here, Marcus?" "Born and raised." Each word felt like glass in his throat. "It's a good area. I've worked here for, well, quite a while now." He knew exactly how long. 7 years as a circuit court judge. He'd looked her up, read every article, tried to understand how someone could be so blind to the truth. "What do you do?" he asked, knowing the answer. "I'm a judge." She said it simply, without pride or shame, just a fact. Family and criminal court. His jaw clenched so hard it hurt. This was too much. The universe was playing some kind of sick joke. Must be hard making those decisions. It is. She was quiet for a moment. People think judges are supposed to be removed, clinical. Just apply the law and move on. But every case stays with you, every face. Especially... She stopped herself. Especially what? Especially the ones where you know the decision will change someone's life forever. Marcus wanted to laugh, wanted to scream. Instead, he just drove, focusing on the road, on the yellow lines disappearing under his tires. They passed a closed diner, a shuttered gas station, the bones of small-town America dying in the dark. "Do you have family?" she asked, and he nearly drove off the road. "A daughter, 14. That's a good age, challenging but good. She's sick." He didn't know why he said it, didn't know why he was giving this woman anything. Type 1 diabetes, has been since she was 7. "I'm sorry." And she sounded it, which made everything worse. "That must be incredibly difficult. You learn to manage?" His voice was flat. "You do what you have to do." Another silence, longer this time. Then, "I had a case a few years ago. Young man, armed robbery. The evidence seemed clear, but..." There was this video, home security footage that showed he was somewhere else when the crime happened. Marcus's entire body went rigid. His breathing stopped. She couldn't be... The defense submitted it late, 3 days past the deadline for evidence submission. I had to rule it inadmissible. Her voice cracked just slightly. The law was clear, but that young man's face, the way he looked at me when I read the sentence, he kept saying, "I was at my brother's house. I was helping his daughter with homework." The truck swerved slightly. Marcus corrected, his mind spinning, his heart hammering against his ribs. She remembered. She actually remembered. "I think about him sometimes," she continued, staring out the rain-streaked window. "Wonder if I made the right call. The law said one thing, but justice might have said something else. His brother stood up in that courtroom and begged me to look at the video, just look at it. But I couldn't. The rules exist for a reason, to keep the system fair. If I bent them for one person, his brother." Marcus's voice came out strangled. "What about him?" "He was a mechanic, I think. Worked himself ragged trying to take care of his family. I could see it in his eyes that day. Rage, grief, desperation. I've never forgotten that look." The shop appeared ahead. Marcus's safe haven, his sanctuary. He pulled in, parking under the awning, the rain drumming on the metal roof above them. He sat there, hands still on the wheel, unable to move, unable to breathe. "Marcus?" She turned to look at him, and in the dim light from the shop's security lamp, he could see her face clearly, older than in the courtroom, tired, lines around her eyes that hadn't been there before. "Are you all right?" "Danny Turner," he said quietly. "That's my brother, and I'm the mechanic who stood in your courtroom and watched you send an innocent man to prison." The color drained from her face. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. No sound came out. She looked at him, really looked, and he watched recognition dawn like a slow horror. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Oh my God, I'm the guy who just saved your life." The words came out bitter, sharp as broken glass. "I'm the guy who could have left you on that highway in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. I'm the guy whose daughter asks me every single day when Uncle Danny is coming home, and I have to tell her 12 more years. 12 more years because you couldn't bend the rules, not even for the truth." She was shaking now, but not from the cold. Tears started streaming down her face, mixing with the rain that still clung to her skin. "I didn't know. I mean, I knew the video existed, but the law..." "Don't." He held up his hand. "Don't tell me about the law. The law isn't justice. You had the power to look at that video to see the truth, and you chose a deadline, a piece of paper, a technicality. Danny was 22 years old. He was going to be a teacher. Did you know that? He was in his senior year of college, education major. He wanted to teach 3rd grade because our mom was a 3rd grade teacher before she died, and he wanted to honor her. Catherine Morrison, the woman who never cried in court, who was famous for her composed demeanor, was sobbing openly now. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I've thought about that case every day for 3 years, every single day. Sorry doesn't give him back his life. Sorry doesn't explain to my daughter why the justice system failed us. Sorry doesn't pay for her medical bills because I'm working 16-hour days to make up for the fact that Danny was supposed to help me expand the business, and now I'm doing it alone." He turned to look at her fully, letting her see everything. The exhaustion, the anger, the grief. "You want to know the worst part? I almost left you there. I sat in this truck for a full minute and I almost drove away." "Why didn't you?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "Because I'm not you." The words hung in the air like a verdict. "Because I can't live with myself if I let someone suffer when I have the power to help them, even if they don't deserve it, even if they destroyed my family. I can't be the person who chooses the easy thing over the right thing." She covered her face with her hands, shoulders shaking. "What can I do? Tell me what I can do. I'll reopen the case. I'll look at everything again. There has to be something." "You can't reopen it. Double jeopardy. He was convicted. It's done. Marcus felt the weight of those words, had heard them from 3 different lawyers. Unless new evidence comes to light, evidence that wasn't available at trial, he's stuck there for 12 more years. Then I'll find new evidence. I'll hire investigators. With what money? You think I haven't tried that? You think I haven't spent every spare dollar I have trying to prove my brother's innocence? I've got private investigators telling me it's a dead end. The guy who actually did it skipped town years ago. No one knows where he is. They sat in the truck, 2 broken people, the rain the only sound. Finally, Catherine spoke. I need to tell you something I've never told anyone. She wiped her eyes, took a shaky breath. My son was arrested when he was 19. Drug possession. He was guilty, completely guilty, but I knew a judge in another county and he bent the rules for me, accepted evidence late, gave my son a second chance. My son got treatment, turned his life around. He's a social worker now, helping kids get off drugs. Marcus stared at her, unable to process what he was hearing. So, when your brother's case came to me, and that video was submitted late, I couldn't be that judge. The one who bends the rules for some people and not others. I had to be fair. I had to follow the law exactly because I knew what it was like to benefit from someone not following it. I thought I was being just, impartial. Her voice broke, but I wasn't being just. I was being a coward. I was so afraid of being a hypocrite that I sacrificed your brother's life to prove I wasn't. The confession hung between them, heavy as stone. Marcus felt something shift inside him, something he couldn't quite name. Not forgiveness, not yet, but understanding, maybe, the barest glimpse of it. My daughter, he said slowly, needed a new insulin pump last year, the kind with continuous monitoring. Insurance wouldn't cover it. I couldn't afford it. She ended up in the hospital, nearly died, because her blood sugar dropped in the middle of the night and no one knew. If Danny had been here helping with the business like we planned, I could have afforded it. Your decision almost killed my daughter. Catherine let out a sound like a wounded animal. I'm so sorry. Marcus, I'm so sorry. I know you are. And somehow, he did. He could see it in every line of her face, every tear, every tremor. But sorry doesn't change anything. Sorry doesn't bring back 3 years. Sorry doesn't undo the trauma my brother has experienced in prison, the violence, the nightmares. He writes me letters, and I can see him dying a little more in every one. What do you want from me? She turned to face him fully. I'll do anything. Anything in my power. Marcus thought about that. What did he want? Revenge? He'd had his chance for that and didn't take it. Justice? That ship had sailed 3 years ago. I want you to remember, he said finally. Every time you sit on that bench, every time a case comes before you, I want you to remember Danny. Remember that the law and justice aren't always the same thing. Remember that you have the power to destroy lives or save them, and technicalities shouldn't matter more than the truth. I will. I swear to you, I will. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and showed her a photo. Lily, smiling despite the tubes and wires, giving a thumbs up from her hospital bed. This is what your decision cost. Look at her. Remember her too. Catherine took the phone with shaking hands, staring at the image. She's beautiful. She looks like you. She's everything. She's the only reason I didn't fall apart when Danny went away. And she's the reason I picked you up tonight. Because she needs a father who does the right thing, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. They sat there for another long moment. Then Catherine straightened, wiping her face. There is one thing, she said slowly. I can't reopen your brother's case, but I can reach out to contacts. I know people in the parole board, people in prisoner advocacy. I can make sure his case gets reviewed favorably when he comes up for early release. I can write letters, make calls. It won't get him out now, but in 5 years when he's eligible. 5 years is better than 12. Marcus felt something loosening in his chest. Not hope, not quite, but something close. And your daughter. I can't undo what I did, but I can help. I have connections to medical foundations, charity organizations. I'll make calls. We'll get her that insulin pump, the best one available. She pulled out her own phone, water damaged but still working. I'm texting my assistant right now. First thing Monday morning, we start making this right. You can't make this right, Marcus said, but his voice had lost some of its edge. No, she agreed. I can't, but I can try, and I will try every day for the rest of my life to be the judge I should have been in that courtroom. To remember that behind every case is a person, a family, a life that hangs in the balance. Marcus opened his door, stepped out into the rain. He walked around to her side, opened her door. There's a motel 2 blocks down. I'll drive you. She got out, stood facing him in the rain. Thank you for stopping, for not leaving me there, for being a better person than I was. Don't thank me yet. He managed something that might have been a smile or might have been a grimace. I'm still pretty angry at you. You should be. You have every right to be. They got back in the truck and he drove her to the motel. At the entrance, she handed him her business card and a check for the tow, plus $200 extra. My personal cell is on the back. Call me next week. I want to meet Lily, if you'll let me. I want to see the person affected by my decision. I need to see her. Marcus took the card, turned it over in his hands. I don't know if I can do that. I understand, but the offer stands. And Marcus, I meant what I said about helping Danny, about the insulin pump. I'll start Monday morning. You'll hear from me. He watched her walk into the motel, shoulders hunched against the rain. Then he drove home, through the storm, through the darkness, his mind a whirlwind of emotions he couldn't name. When he pulled into his driveway, he sat for a moment, staring at his house, at the light in Lily's window where she was certainly still awake, waiting for him. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I'm home safe. Thank you again. And Marcus, your mother would be proud of you, the man you are, the father you've become, the grace you showed tonight. I hope someday you can forgive me, but I understand if you never can. Catherine Morrison. He read it 3 times. Then he got out of the truck and went inside. Lily was curled up on the couch, her glucose monitor beeping softly. She looked up when he entered, relief flooding her face. Dad, you're okay. I'm okay, sweetheart. He sat down next to her, pulled her into a hug. Sorry I'm late. It's okay. Who was the tow for? Marcus thought about how to answer that. Someone who needed help. Did you help them? Yeah, I did. Good. She yawned, leaning against him. Uncle Danny always said you're the best person he knows, that you always help people, even when it's hard. Danny said that? In his last letter. He said he's proud of you. She looked up at him, her eyes so much like her mother's. I'm proud of you too, Dad. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Go to bed, Lil. School in the morning. Will you check on me? My sensor's been acting up. Every hour, like always. She kissed his cheek and headed upstairs. Marcus sat there in the quiet house, Catherine Morrison's business card in his hand. He thought about Danny, about justice, about the choice he'd made on that highway. He thought about the man he wanted to be, the man his daughter needed him to be. And slowly, painfully, he felt something shift. Not forgiveness, not yet, but the first small crack in the wall of anger he'd built around himself. A crack that, maybe, someday, could become a door. His phone buzzed again. Another text from Catherine, a photo this time. Danny's case file spread out on what looked like a dining room table, along with legal pads covered in notes. The message read, "Working on it. I won't stop until we find something, I promise you." Marcus looked at the photo for a long time. Then, against every instinct screaming at him not to, he typed back, "Thank you." 2 months later, on a cold January morning, Marcus's phone rang. Catherine Morrison's name on the screen. Marcus, I found him. I found the man who actually committed the robbery. His heart stopped. What? He's been arrested in Nevada for a similar crime. They ran his DNA through the database, and it matched evidence from Danny's case that was never tested because the case was closed after conviction. I've already contacted the DA's office. We're filing for exoneration. Marcus sat down, his legs giving out. How long? If everything goes smoothly, Danny could be home in 6 months. He couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. 3 years of rage, of hopelessness, of exhaustion, all crashing down at once. How did you find him? I didn't give up. I called in every favor I had. I got victim advocates and innocence projects involved. I pushed the DA to authorize DNA testing on all the evidence. And I made sure that when something turned up, it would be expedited. Her voice shook. I told you I would try. I meant it. Catherine? He didn't know what to say, didn't have words big enough. Lily's insulin pump arrived, right? Last month? Yeah, she loves it. Her numbers have never been better. Good. That's good. A pause. Marcus, I know this doesn't make up for what I did. I know I can never give back those 3 years, but I need you to know that you changed me that night. The judge I was died on that highway, and I'm trying to become the judge I should have been. You're saving my brother's life. You saved mine first, even when I didn't deserve it. Marcus looked out his window at Lily in the yard, throwing a ball for their dog, healthy and happy. He thought about Danny, about the day he'd be able to hug his brother again, to tell him it was over, that he could come home. Thank you, he said, and meant it. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for showing me what grace looks like. Even in anger, even in pain, you chose kindness. That's something I'll carry with me for the rest of my career, the rest of my life. They talked for a few more minutes about the legal process, about what would happen next. When Marcus hung up, he stood there, phone in hand, feeling something he hadn't felt in 3 years. Hope. Real, solid, undeniable hope. That evening, he sat down and wrote Danny a letter. Not the usual update about Lily and the business. Something different. Danny, I need to tell you about the night I met Judge Morrison on a highway, and how choosing to be the man Mom raised me to be changed everything. I need to tell you that you're coming home. That justice, real justice, is finally coming. And I need to tell you that even in the darkest times, even when the system fails us, we don't have to fail each other. We don't have to become the thing we hate. Mom was right about that. She was always right. 6 months later, Marcus stood outside the prison gates, Lily beside him, both of them shaking with anticipation. The door opened, and Danny walked out, older, thinner, but alive. Still alive. They ran to him, the 3 of them colliding in a hug that felt like coming home after the longest journey. You did it, Danny whispered against Marcus's shoulder. You actually did it. No, Marcus said, looking over Danny's shoulder at the figure standing back by the car, giving them space. Catherine Morrison, who had driven 3 hours to be there to witness the justice she finally delivered. We all did it, all of us. Danny followed his gaze, saw the judge, and stiffened. Marcus squeezed his shoulder. I'll explain everything. But the short version? Sometimes the people who hurt us the most are the ones fighting the hardest to make it right. And sometimes grace isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing to build something new from the ruins. Catherine approached slowly, cautiously. Danny, She stopped, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry. Those words aren't enough, but they're all I have. Danny looked at her for a long moment. Then he extended his hand. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for fighting for me when I couldn't fight for myself. She took his hand, holding it like a lifeline. I'll spend the rest of my career making sure no one else goes through what you did. I promise you that. On the drive home, Lily chattered excitedly about all the things they'd do now that Uncle Danny was back, all the meals she'd cook, all the movies they'd watch. Danny laughed, the sound rusty but real, and Marcus felt tears running down his face. That night, after Lily had finally gone to bed and Danny had showered about 5 times, trying to wash away 3 years of prison, the brothers sat on the back porch, a bottle of beer each, the stars overhead, the weight of the past slowly lifting. "You really saved her life that night?" Danny asked. "The judge?" "Yeah." "And you thought about leaving her there?" "For about a minute, yeah." Danny was quiet for a long time, then he laughed, a real laugh. "That's the most human thing I've ever heard. You're allowed to be angry, you know. You're allowed to hate her for what she did." "I did hate her. Part of me still does." Marcus took a sip of his beer. "But I hate what happened more than I hate her. And she spent 6 months proving that she's not the person she was in that courtroom. She's trying to be better." "Like you tried to be better than your anger?" "Something like that." "Mom would be proud," Danny said, echoing Catherine's words from months ago. "You became the man she always knew you could be, even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. She'd be proud of you, too, for surviving, for not breaking." "I almost did, about 100 times," Danny's voice dropped. "But I kept thinking about Lily, about you, about getting home. That kept me alive." They sat in comfortable silence, the kind only brothers can share. Finally, Danny spoke again. "So what now?" "Now?" Marcus smiled. "Now we rebuild the business, our lives, everything, and this time we do it together." "Together," Danny agreed, "like it should have been." Inside, Lily's glucose monitor beeped, and Marcus stood. "Gotta check her levels. You coming?" "Yeah." Danny stood too. "I've got 3 years of goodnight kisses to make up for." They walked inside together, into the warm light of home, into the future they'd fought so hard to reach. Outside, the stars shone down on a house that had known too much pain but was learning slowly how to heal. And somewhere across town, Catherine Morrison sat at her desk, reviewing case files, seeing faces instead of paperwork, hearing stories instead of statutes. She picked up a framed photo, the one she'd kept since that night. Marcus and Lily and Danny, reunited, smiling. A reminder of the cost of justice delayed and the power of grace given freely. She had 15 years left before retirement, 15 years to get it right, to be the judge who saw people, not precedents, who understood that mercy and justice weren't opposites, but partners in the dance of being human. It wouldn't erase what she'd done, nothing could, but it was a start, and sometimes a start is all we get. The chance to be better tomorrow than we were yesterday, to choose grace over vengeance, to remember that we're all broken, all struggling, all trying to find our way home through the storm. Marcus Turner found a stranger on a highway and made a choice. That choice rippled outward, changing lives, changing hearts, changing the very meaning of justice for everyone it touched. Because that's what grace does. It transforms, it redeems. It reminds us that even in our darkest moments, we have the power to be the light someone else needs. And in the end, that's the only revenge that matters. Being so fully, completely human that you leave the world better than you found it, one choice at a time, one act of kindness at a time, one moment of grace at a time. The storm had passed, and in its wake, something beautiful had grown.